Testing 1 2 1 2. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rage Against the Regime. My name is Vincent, and I'm your MC for the evening. I'll try and say as little as possible. Tonight is all about tomorrow, which is September the 18th. Major protests taking place at Dáil Éireann. We had the lockout 2013 and also the People's Assembly. Tonight we're looking to have Hördur Torfason from Iceland. But before he talks, we're going to have a couple of speakers. Tony Rochford, who is the main organizer of the event tomorrow, and also people from the People's Referendum. After that, we're lucky to have Dr. Miller, who's an amazing national treasure, as the Irish Times called him. So he'll be performing at about 10 o'clock. So we'll have about an hour of talks, about 30 minutes of questions and answers, and then some music and some more drinking. So thanks very much for coming, and have a good night.
That road was torn to a pauper's death in a cell of cold, wet stone. Will German, French or Dutch inscribe the epitaph of Emmet, when we've sold enough of Ireland to be but strangers in it? Those brave men who fought and died, that Roisin lived again with pride. Her sons at home to work and sing, her used to dance and make her valleys ring. Or the faceless men who from ark and dark declared the highest renown. For what died the sons of Roisin? Language problem, so they say. How to write no trespass must breathe their heart was sore. We got rid of one strange language now, many more.
Good evening, folks. I'd just like to welcome you all here tonight, and thank you for coming. I can't see it, I'm blinded here, but we're just going to have a little chat about what's going to happen tomorrow. But first, if anyone doesn't really know my history, I'll just give you an idea what it is. Basically, I went on hunger strike over the household and property charge there back on the 17th of June. I took the protest to the Dáil, and I got a lot of support from people, especially Bernie Hughes and Keith Noonan and Brendan Kelly and Steve Kerr, and there's a few others as well that I kind of in the background, Jessica as well, who set up the page and the whole lot. But at the end of the hunger strike, Kenny said he was going to meet me, and as you know, he didn't bother his arse. So I decided that I'm not finished with him, I'm going to step it up again. So I kind of came up with the idea of this protest, but I'm not taking full credit for it, or much credit for it really, because there was going to be another protest. We did know that Boyd Barrett and them were going to have a protest. So we just decided to have a proper protest, because we know what their protests are like, just an hour. So we're going to be there from 5 o'clock in the morning, and hopefully we'll hold out till 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Now, from what I've been told so far, I was up there today and there was no barriers, but some of the lads have been up there since. They said that they have barricaded off just the path in front of the gates. So that's, if they do that, we're perfect, we're not too bad. Because I have been putting out threats on the air, on radio for the last few days, that if the guards do try and block us off from Kildare Street, basically we're going to shut the city down. Even if we've only 500 people, we've come up with a strategy called a zigzag protest, and we can stretch out 500 people over basically half a kilometre, and we'll shut this city down basically. There's a few things happening on the day. There's a referendum, but Kev will be up, he'll tell you about that. But the main point of the thing is, this is a peaceful protest, and I'm a peaceful person. You mightn't agree with that, because I am a bit of a ticky at times, but I won't back down, but I won't do any care, and we're advising anyone that has video cameras or whatever to use them on the day to video everything. So basically that lets people know if they're going to start trouble, that there will be evidence there which the guards will use against them. So hopefully that threat will kind of keep them at bay. But if there is trouble, they'll quite quick. Now, I was in touch with the guards 2 weeks ago. I spoke to them on the phone. They were supposed to get back to me, they never did, never bothered. As far as they're concerned, they thought this was just going to be a damn squib, so hopefully, I think they're changing their minds now. From what I heard today is that they put the 2nd Battalion on standby, which is laughable really, because I'd love to see the army on the streets of Dublin, because it would make a show of the government and their policies, to have our soldiers pointing guns at us. And the thing is, if people point guns, I've had guns pointed at me since I was a kid. The first gun I pointed at my head was I was only 7. The next one I was about 10 or 11, because we had a post office, we had a lot of robberies. So the thing about guns, they'll point guns at you to threaten you or whatever, but they're not going to shoot you. Trust me, any guard, any cop, or any army man that shoots anyone in Ireland that's unarmed, the people in Ireland would string them up. So do not let them intimidate you at all. I haven't a lot more to say really, so I think I'll let Kev get up and explain more about what the day is going to be. There is going to be live music. We have a few bands that are going to play in the day. There's going to be the Rattling Kind, there's Billy Lee, and there's another few. Bernie has organised another few. I might get Hörd up to say a few words about it, more about the music and stuff that's going to be on the day. Or that music that was played there just before, that was actually a poem by Luke Kelly that was discovered after his death. We've also been working, and we've loads of different speeches from eyewitnesses basically of the 1916 Rising. We've Eamon Cant's Widows. We've a live recording of her made in 1950 where she describes what happened. Basically the rebellion meetings were all done in her house over a period in 1916. So there's a lot of huge information there that's been buried in Ireland, and we need to get this out again. But the main thing is we need to get Kenny out. Like Kenny came out last week and he said about Priory Hall that all he needs is a bit more time. But as we all know well, that Fiachra is dead now, and his kids and his partner have no more time. And then they kind of came out yesterday and they started bullshitting that they're going to sort it out. Well, Kenny, you can't believe a word that comes out of Kenny's mouth, because when I was on hunger strike, the first couple of days I was outside the door, which would have been, I didn't take my hunger strike there till the 14th day, because I wanted to make sure that they knew I was actually in hunger strike. So it was brought up about me by 3 or 4 members, by Richard Boyd Barris, by John Halligan, by Maddie McGrath, and there was one other, Bernie, who was the other one?
John Halligan.
John Halligan, yeah.
John Collins.
And Joan Collins, that's who it was. And basically, it was brought up the following week again by the same people, including Desi Ellis. And then Kenny said, "Oh, that's the first I've ever heard of that." So he's obviously a deaf, as well as being an idiot, he's deaf. So, and he tells lies, same as what I'm saying is now, some mightn't agree with this, but I'll say it. I came off the hunger strike because Peter Stotterty basically rang me out of the blue and said he'd done a deal with Kenny, shook hands with Kenny, and that he would talk to me within 3 or 4 days. And as you know, Kenny did not talk to me. He finished up ringing me about 8 days later and gave me a letter that was full of bullshit and very bland. He didn't even use headed paper. That's the kind of Taoiseach we have in Ireland. He's no cop on at all. The letter he sent from the taxman just basically agreed with everything I'd said all along, that as an Irishman I am prevented from working in my country because the government don't know how to draw proper legislation. The Attorney General is a disgrace as far as I'm concerned. But then again, they're put in there. I don't know if you realise that the Attorney General, who looks after our Constitution, he's the one that's supposed to look after it. He's actually put in place by the Taoiseach of the day. So what's the point of having a referee that actually is part of the same side? Now they're after pushing in a load of Supreme judges there a few weeks ago. They're also after putting in a whole lot of High Court judges a few weeks ago in participation for all these cases that are going to be hitting the court soon about repossessions and whatever. Now, as well as my hunger strike and this protest, I'm also an activist. I'm getting involved with anti-eviction Ireland. I'll be anyone that's fighting eviction in Ireland, I will stand by their side, basically. And I think the people of Ireland have to do the same. Like, I'm not pushed out the door yet, but my turn will come. And people in Ireland have to realise that and not wait till you're sitting on the street. Because when you're sitting on the street, your power is gone, your voice is gone. You have no voice, basically. Like, there's a family in Navan that actually walked out of their house today. Mother, father, and 3 kids. They actually handed their keys back because they couldn't just. They didn't have the bottle to take on the government. They were just beaten into the ground. And that's what's going to happen to the rest of Ireland if we don't cop on and deal with it. Like, at the moment they're saying there's about 100,000 houses behind in the mortgage, in arrears. Well, I can tell you for a fact that them figures are bullshit, because I was in discussion with my bank. I actually only went into arrears officially when I went on hunger strike on the 15th of June. But believe it or not, I was 60 grand in arrears at that stage because I had done certain deals with the government or with the bank. but they say that once you adhere to a deal, you're not actually officially in arrears. So how many, is there probably not 100,000, 200,000 homes in the same position I am in? And if you look at it this way, that there's an average of two adults, 2 kids in every house in Ireland. So you're talking about the guts of 1 million people in Ireland are facing a possible eviction. So like that's a serious problem we're going to have. Right, I'm not going to take up any more of your time, and I'll just get Kevin. I think Kevin is coming up next, is he? Okay, Kevin Flanagan. Thanks. Oh, no, he's going to talk about it now. Yeah.
Thanks, Tony. Hi, everybody. Oh, this is very good. My name's Kevin. Bit of my background is I've sort of been involved in different activist groups for probably 5 or 6 years. Some of you may have heard of a group called Tirnasur, and I've been involved in that. And today I'm talking to you about a campaign that's being run by a group called My Injustice, which is made up of myself, Steve Kerr, and another guy, Dylan Owens. And we're getting a lot of help from, other people that we've met along the years. Basically, where this idea came from is back in the middle of August there, we had a think tank in Athlone, and different people from different activist groups who had been out doing work throughout the country the last couple of years were invited to come together to try and hash things out and see what we had in common, and see if we could work together to try and fast forward the solutions that we want in our country. And from this think tank of about 30 people, 3 key issues came out of it. The first one was there was people who wanted to talk about a new political system, an alternative to what we had now. And you must have heard of direct democracy by this stage. You've got direct democracy, the political party. But you had people there who were interested in just the idea of direct democracy and how could we introduce this into our state in a practical way. You also had people who were very concerned about the natural resources, the woodland, the waters and things like this. And then finally, the other group of people that were there were, these were people who were involved with anti-eviction task force. These were people who were helping people who were getting evicted from their homes, and they're actually going into court for them and taking cases for them. So from these 3 sort of key issues that came out, myself and Steve, and obviously Tony was at the meeting as well, I should have said, sorry, and Tony announced to us the plans for the 18th. So we all got thinking and talking about it, and Steve came to me with the idea of, well, what if we put a couple of issues to the people by a show of hands? And it sort of just evolved from that to what we have today, where we're going to be hosting the People's Referendum. As far as we know, the first ever People's Referendum held in Ireland. They have held them in Spain. And it's going to go from 4 p.m. tomorrow, and we're going to ask the people. Basically, we're cutting the crap out, and we're cutting the political system out, and we're just cutting straight to the chase. And we're going to hold the referendum on the decisions that we should have been asked about in the first place. We would have loved to have a list of like 10 issues, of all the common things that we talk about, but we've narrowed it down to 3. So the 3 questions we're going to ask the people tomorrow is, do the Irish people have a right to hold a referendum? And we're asking that question on a referendum, and the point of that is to just, to get us thinking that we do have the power to do this. We do have the right to do this. We don't actually have to ask permission, because they're our servants, and if we organise ourselves and use the democratic process in this unusual way, then we've got a lot of leverage against the government, because they're not going to turn their back on democracy, or they shouldn't. The second one is, well, let's say they do. Let's say they turn their back on democracy tomorrow. Ireland is still going to be a different place Thursday morning. Whatever happens tomorrow, Ireland's going to be different on Thursday. So, we'll know where we stand like we never did before. Second point we thought was important to go on to ballot was that the national resources belong to the people, and that they should be nationalised sustainably and managed for the benefit of the people. Not everybody agrees with that, and we know not everybody agrees with that. There's capitalists in this country who would say, no, I have the resources to mine that oil, so I should get to keep it. That's a valid opinion, and that's why you disagree or disagree. If that comes back tomorrow and it's a disagree, we have to celebrate that just as much as if it's an agree, because it's the democratic will of the people. The third one, which is probably one of the most important, as in it's affecting people on a day-to-day basis, is that the home is inviolable. That means it cannot be violated. And this is a principle from nature. Like, they put it in the Constitution, fair play to you, but it's from nature. If you go disturb a badger's set, that badger is going to come out and it's going to attack you. That's nature. So every creature in nature has a right to a home, and that home is inviolable. It cannot be violated. Our Constitution recognises that. Now, when you have a government that's prepared to legislate for the plunder of the property of this people. And they're not our government anymore. They're legislating for corporate entities. They're legislating to allow theft of our land and our resources, okay? So what we're calling for is that in light of the circumstances that we're all facing, of the crisis, okay, it is a crisis situation, that until we get out of the red, there should be an immediate ban on all foreclosures and evictions in this land. And just on that note, Ireland's history, the fact that they're talking about evictions again under a government that's supposed to be our government, under our free government, and we're facing eviction again, this is shocking. It shouldn't happen in Ireland because of our history, because it's particularly harsher to us, because the scars were never healed in that regard. So basically the people's referendum is, I suppose, it's a stunt at the very least. It's a political stunt. It's a bit of PR. It's a way to, I suppose, get the people thinking in an empowered way. What we do after this, we've been discussing it. There is several options, like what we can do with these results. It's not just going to be left to one side and we're not just going to put it up on the internet and go, wasn't that a great day we all had? We're going to push the government on this. What I think of it, yesterday afternoon there's been invitations sent to every elected representative in the country, to the Defence Forces, to the Garda, to the Attorney General and to the President of Ireland to stand with the people tomorrow as one of the people. Not as a TD and not as a president, but as one of the people, to stand with us and cast their vote in the first ever people's referendum on the issues that we've never had a chance to decide on before. That's it. Bernie's just going to say a few words now.
Hi everybody, thanks Kevin and Tony. The lockout tomorrow, right, I just want to just give you a little bit of an idea of what will be happening. We'll be there at 5 o'clock in the morning, and hopefully as many people as possible that can join us then will be there. But through the day we will have speeches. We've no keynote speaker other than Hördur Torfason. We will be relying on the people that come tomorrow to give their stories and to try and enlighten our politicians on the plights that they have in their lives. If they don't know that already, they will hear it loud and clear from them. And we will have, intermittently, we will have music and song from people that have come, like Andrew Cairns and Bill Tracy. We have, as Tony said, Rattling Kind. And we have Dermot Brannock. We'll have a number of people, and I'd say there'll be a number of people will come, and ordinary people will get up and give their song or poem or whatever, and tell their story. But tomorrow is a day to empower the Irish people, and it's a long time in coming, and where the ordinary person of non-party, an all party really, because people may be in a party that come along tomorrow, but they're not there as being a member of a political party. They're there as a citizen of this country, and as a citizen of this country who wants to see an end to the crippling austerity of the people of Ireland. It may not be affecting some people in some quarters greatly, but it's affecting everybody in some way. Some people may be able to weather the storm, but the statistics are that there's a high rate of suicide directly linked to the situations that people find themselves in. Now, we have had a history, as we all know. We don't need history lessons. We know, what's happened in this country over many, many years, many hundreds and thousands of years, right? Where this is happening in Ireland today. The relevance of 1913 and 2013 lockout, there's so much similar, it's unbelievable, and yet we're 100 years on. So I would encourage anybody that's here today that hasn't decided that they are going to come tomorrow to please go home, get your backpack or whatever it is ready, because it's going to be a long day. Come with your story, get your family to come at some stage tomorrow and spend your time here, cast your vote in the first people's referendum. And I would also say, I think Keith or Kev might have forgot to say, that our diaspora have an opportunity to vote as well. If they link into the...
Mind Justice
myinjustice.org. So if your friends are away or your family have been forced into emigration, please get on to them when you go home and say you have an opportunity to tell the government from afar what you want. Okay, hope to see you all there. Bye. Sorry, I'd just like to introduce a great little gentleman, right, if I can say that. Tom wants to say something. Come on, Tom. Oh, I'll take the mic out, sorry. He's a gentleman. No, just sit in.
Yeah, right. I'd just like to remind you, there's a very, very important second referendum on the 4th of October. They want you, the people, to approve by ballot a new intermediate court. Now already we have the Supreme Court, we have the High Court, we have the Commercial Court, the Criminal Courts, and the local courts. So what they want you to do is to vote in a new court, an intermediate court. Now this is the court that's going to sit on the evictions. You can't go beyond this court if you vote yes for it. You people may remember, or you may not remember, the McKenna judgment. Patricia McKenna is a well-known figure on the left here in Dublin. The McKenna judgment was that on referendum day, the literature would be balanced. And of course, Patricia brought that to the Supreme Court and won it. Now, if this new intermediate court is voted in, that is far. You're not going to get to the High Court, and you have no chance of getting to the Supreme Court. So my evaluation of the vote, if you go, I don't give a damn about the Senate or about the House either, but if you do anything on that day, go out and vote against this new intermediate court. Apart from it being a new court with a new criteria of parasites, it's a court that's going to bog you down if you are evicted. There's people outside door there, and one man, Peter, there, he's 7 or 8 years outside it. He can't even get on the first rung of the ladder. And if he does now, if this new court comes in, that's it. You're finished. This is the greatest con that Kenny has pulled so far. So, and I'm somebody now that wouldn't get up and ask you to vote in Dáil Éireann because I don't really recognise it. But what I'm saying to you is this: on that day, get out and vote no against this new intermediate court. Thank you.
Okay, and now for the highlight of the evening, we have a very special guest here tonight who will be at the protest tomorrow. His name is Hördur Torfason, and he's the leader of the Icelandic, what they call the Icelandic Kitchenware Revolution, which is really a peaceful revolution. In Iceland they had just as many problems, people were just as angry there, and somehow they managed to bring down the government. Hördur in 2009 decided he'd had enough, and he went out and he stood outside the parliament and he just started talking, and a couple of people came up, and he'll tell you the story of what happened after that. But it's a truly inspiring story, and we're very lucky to have him here today, and I have to give full credit to Tony and the gang for bringing him over here, because to me he's one of my true personal heroes. The idea that you can have a peaceful revolution without killing your own brothers and sisters. So a round of applause please for Hördur Torfason.
Hello. Thank you for having me here. I feel very proud and honored to come and be with you people of Dublin and Ireland. Now, I've been here for a week today, no, tomorrow. Yes, I have a long story as an activist. and I like to sit down. I've been walking very fast in the rain, looking in your town, your city, for the past hours. I am an artist. I am actually schooled and trained as an actor. I graduated from the National Theatre Acting School in the spring of 1970. And I don't know how many years that is, but I became a very famous man in my society within a year for my acting talents to write songs, perform, and so on, which wasn't really what I wanted. I've never wanted to be famous, that's nothing, or rich or anything like that. It's not in my nature. I just enjoy life. And life is to be with friends, laugh, sing, cry, whatever it takes. But I became famous, and I was very occupied. I was in theater, I was in films, television, I was doing concerts, I was doing LPs, I was a photo model. I was practically everything a young man can dream of achieving, of being. Except there was one thing, a grain in my soul, so to speak. That was the fact I'm gay, and I was never allowed to mention that. Many people I made contracts with, because that would ruin my life, my career, and their way of making money. So I didn't sign any contracts after 73. I went my own way, and I was trying to find out what can I do, because I was watching gay people being beaten up. They were attacked in their homes, degraded in any possible way. And one guy I remember knowing, he was a bit feminine, and he was beaten up for being feminine. Things like that. So in 1975, I stepped out as the first gay man in my country in a magazine interview. It was called, and still is called, the interview of the century. It tells you how the reaction of the nation. Everything, really, every Icelander read this interview, and I suppose most people with disgust. Anyway, all doors closed on me. That the day after, I had some contracts to fulfill, and I had to go into exile. I went in the early days of 77. I came back. I was working on my idea of creating a gay organization in Iceland, and I succeeded to get people together in May 78. And as always, since then, they wanted me to lead it, and I said, no, I've been leading it, things like here for 2 years, and it's tough. I need more people to work with me. So I left Iceland and left them there. But like I said to them, I always say to people I work with, I'm always here whenever you need me, but I don't want to be in the front. I want to be in the back, planning. Anyway, I went into exile, and that summer I was very low. It's like when you lose everything. And I was going to take my life that summer. And I remember I've written songs about this moment of turning back for love. Because I understood the minute I was going to take my life, if I do it, I've lost. So I decided to go back to Iceland with my songs, my stories. I started writing more stories and songs. And I went back and started traveling the countryside, renting small places to do concerts. I had earned respect from the amateur theaters, many places, and some of them trusted me and hired me. But the thing is, nobody came to the first concerts because people said, we don't listen to homosexual music. And I said to them, well, you've been listening to my music for years. So what about Tchaikovsky and other guys? You know, you still listen to their music. And how do you know a person is gay? I mean, do they have red noses or green noses or what? How do you see it? Well, we know you are. Ah, yes, I'm not hiding that. But mainly what I was doing was, since everybody knew that I was gay, I never mentioned it, never ever. I proved talents. I didn't drink, I was polite, and I did concerts. In the beginning, nobody came but the janitors. And what I did, since I was paying the rent for the house, there were houses like this, I said to the janitor, look, I made some tea, I'll sing you some songs and I'll tell you some stories. And the first year I went around the countryside like this, or the island. The year after when I arrived, I did the same. And then I began to understand the way of fighting. The janitors met up with their friends and families. I told them stories about people, different kind of people, all kind of people, peacefully, humor, everything, all kinds of feelings. And I was saying, this is what we need as humans. We have to recognize each other and respect each other. And most of all, we have to work with love. This is how I started. And gradually, it became more and more people to my concerts. Now, in '91, I moved to Iceland. And I was working very hard, and on the sideline, I always said to people, if you need my help, I will help you. But of course, I look into their cases, what they need help for, so on. Mainly, I've been helping refugees in Iceland. And I've done 24 CDs. I don't know how many concerts around Europe. But in 2006, when the crash came, it was on a Monday afternoon. It's something we all remember in Iceland because we had been living since 2000 or even since 91 to gradually building up a crazy society. It was like we call today the 2007 style. 2007 style meant you met people and they were, hi, how are you? Have you seen my new shirt? You should come and see my new car. Have you seen my house? We were in Greece on a big trip. It was all like this, showing off all the time. And all of a sudden, Monday, 6th of October 2008, the Prime Minister of Iceland came on the national television at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And he spoke for about, 15 minutes or something, very, very dramatic. I was in a barber shop. We watched this, we listened, and in the end, he said very dramatically, God bless Iceland. And I turned around and said to the other guys, I said, did you understand what he was saying? And they said, no. And I said, wow, he asked God to bless Iceland, but I wonder what God? I think this guy really believes in the God of money, and he's not my God. Anyway, the banks were closed that day. We could not get our money, we could not pay our bills, and our savings were closed down. They opened the day after. We could not reach our money in the savings. In the savings, the banks had systematically for years asked us to put all our money into. They were closed. There was a lot of anger. I was working with a writer. He was finishing my biography. And this week we were collecting pictures to put in the book. So I heard about people going out to the streets screaming. I heard of people trying to protest. But I had made fun of Icelanders protesting for years in my concerts, because to me protesting is like you have to have reasons. You have to, like, I would never go out protesting knowing that I would just go home and nothing happens. I want something more. I had proved that in before the Kitchenware Revolution. I learned the hard way, and I always reason with politicians. I drag them into my protests. I activate people. Anyway, Saturday, the 11th of October, I put on my Facebook, on my homepage. I had a homepage for a lot of people for my work, and there were thousands of people coming in there every day. I put announcements saying, tomorrow morning at 12 o'clock, I will place myself in front of the Parliament. I hope you come there as well. I was there, yes, at 12 o'clock with 2 questions. For everybody who passed me by, I said, excuse me, could you tell me what has happened in this country? And if so, do you have any idea what we can do? I stood there like half an hour on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. There were not many people. There were more journalists and photographers from abroad than Icelanders. Now, because I know what I would like to tell you, and I'm telling people this, don't worry if you're protesting and you're worrying about other people not showing up. Don't. You are there. You are the most important persons to be at the protests, because somebody has to start. I joke about it. I say to people, if you want to move a graveyard, don't expect the inhabitants to help you. Use a little humor, because if you start, the other people will come. All you have to do is systematically be there. Always be there for the people. Always get them to talk, express their views, their attitude. That's the most important thing of all. They will come. Now, I stood there, and on Monday I was very convinced I need to do something more than just standing there in front of it. So I started calling my friends and finding speakers. I needed 2 speakers to start with, 1 woman, 1 male. It was very hard to get a woman to talk. But okay, my idea was to do like the Greeks did in the old days. Inform people, stand up and inform, talk to people. I found young people. I asked them, can you help me with spreading news on the internet, telling people that next Saturday at 3 o'clock there will be a big protest meeting here in front of the Parliament building. I went to the police. I spoke to the police and said, look, I'm going to have a protest meeting. Do I get a permission for it? The police talked like this, as usual. I wrote to the city authorities and asked for a permission. That's how it started. There were thousands and thousands that met up that Saturday. And what I said to people, because what I was facing, and we were all facing, it was anger, disappointment. So I said to people, we should do this protest peacefully. Do you agree? And they all said, thousands said yes. So I said, fine, let's start. And we are all angry. We're all feeling bad. we're all being cheated. Our parliament members, they've betrayed us, they've lied to us. Let's be calm, let's use reasons. Do you want another meeting a week from now? Thousands said yes. I said, fine. We had two good speakers trying to clarify what was happening. And then I had bought 2 or 3 buckets, plastic buckets, and I asked people to help me financially if they put just 1 crown or something, if small money in it, it would help. Otherwise I would pay it myself, it didn't matter. Okay, this is how it started. Little did I know we would be there for 5 months. But then what hit me was, okay, we are here protesting. We know we've been cheated, we've been fooled. But is there anything we want? So I started walking around asking people, what is it we want really? I mean, we can protest as long as we like, but to me, it's like, I need to know what we want. And I had sketches from the very first meeting, and I was looking into those and demands of people. I walked around, and little by little, the demands of people, it was a long list, but I took out what most people said. I talked to people from the far right, from the front or left or middle, or for all kinds of groups, and I asked them, okay, I have 3 demands here coming from people. If I put these forward as a goal for the protest, would you agree? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, this is just a start. If we achieve these things, we can continue with new ones. And they said, well, yes, okay, that's fine, but you can never do this. No one has put down a government. Not like this. I said, well, it's worth trying. We kept on, week after week. We were totally ignored. We were laughed at. I was called names, and I never bothered to reply to it because that's too much work. I just took it, like we say. December came, and all of a sudden I felt, and I saw what was happening. People started disappearing. There were less and less. There were less than 100 people left to protest. So what I did, I sent out an announcement saying, dear people, please enjoy Christmas. Take care of your loved ones, your children. Give them a good Christmas. They need it. But I will be here, even if I have to stand alone, on every Saturday at 3 o'clock. And when the Christmas are over, I know you will come back. See you then. And that happened. They came back right after, I think it was 27th of December. There were thousands back to protest. But what also is like when you're leading a protest and you have all the media on you. They were debating me on programs in television and radio. They were writing about me in the media, and they were making me look very bad. And I wasn't responding to it. There were moments I got very tired, and I was filled with despair. I was really, where am I taking this? How is this doing? It looked like it wasn't working. But my experience is like, in moments like that, you get answers. And what I did as an activist, as an artist, as an actor, I decided, since the government was silent and there were very few people protesting, I decided to do a silent protest. It upset a lot of people. They got furious at me. saying, how do you dare to do a silent protest when the government is silent and everybody's trying to silence us? I said, take it easy. I'm doing this. I'll take full responsibility. And I did a little speech about a minute and a half about the importance of silence in front of the Parliament building. And then I lit 17 candles, one candle for each year of since the starting point of the Independent Party was responsible in most ways for our financial crash. And people began to understand what I was meaning. Every minute I lit this one candle. But after the little speech about the importance of silence, a policeman came to me and said, look, Hördur, you will have to move away from the house. And I said, why? I am in every right to stand here. Well, there's a meeting inside and you're distracting the people there. And I was like, really? Can they hear my voice in there? And he said, yes. Oh, I think you've given me the best present ever. And he said, what do you mean? I'm not going to tell you that. But please go inside. I think I'm a man of reasons. I listen to people. They ask me to move across the street. Okay, I will move half the way. I will stand in the middle of the street. I will stand there. And if they don't like it, you will have to arrest me. And I don't think it's a good idea. But please go back and tell the people inside my message. He went and didn't come back. But the idea what I got was, if they hear one little voice outside the house, how about 1,000 or even 2,000 people? So what I started to say to people to create attention, curiosity, I said to people, I have a very good solution. And people said, what do you mean? I'll tell you later. And I said, just prepare yourself. For what? For the big day. What big day? I'll tell you later. Even the national television on 13th of January, they called me and said, can you come and talk to us? And I said, wow, yeah, okay. I'm at up. And they said, I mean, come on, Hördur, you've been there since October. No one is listening to you. So what's the use? And I said to him, well, believe me, so far we have been practicing. And he said, what do you mean? I'll tell you later. And then the whole nation was like, what does he mean? And on the 15th of, I think it was, or 17th of January, I had what I always do is like, I talk to politicians, I write them letters, I ask them for a meeting, and I make them aware of what is happening, so they can never, ever say they didn't know. On the 17th, I think it was the 17th of January, I had a long meeting with the Prime Minister of Iceland, Geir H, and he did not understand a word I was saying. I said, you have to talk to the nation, because if you don't, everything will go crazy here. And he looked at his watch, really. He was always looking at his watch, which means you should go. Well, I left. Didn't understand a word of what I was saying. But on the 20th, I think it was like, on that Saturday, I asked people to meet me in front of the Parliament House on the January 21st and surround the Parliament building with good humor, pots and pans, symbolizing our food, our need for food, and have a good time. I was expecting maybe 1,000 people, but something happened. At 1 o'clock, There were thousands of people. Many people brought drums, and we had fun. Really, we had fun. This is how we started on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. One thing I didn't tell you is that I always reach out to people and I say, people, please help me. I'm good in organizing, but I cannot do everything myself. I'm like a spider in the middle of the web. And one thing was, we had a group of about 60 people, I think, we call the Orange Army, because we decided a peaceful revolution, everybody wearing something orange is supporting a peaceful revolution. And we could see orange color everywhere in Reykjavik at that time. Many people said to us, you're just jokers. Nothing will come out of this. All right, but we were there every day. We were Tuesday, we were Wednesday from 1 o'clock until midnight, and everybody went home to sleep, to be fresh the next day. We were Tuesday, we were Wednesday, we were Thursday. Thursday night, a group of people coming from the pubs saw a police guard in front of the Prime Minister's office. They started tearing up rocks and things from the street and throw at the police. There were people from this Orange Army, and they did a very beautiful thing. They then put up a wall. They stood up and placed themselves in front of the police and stopped all this violence. That came in the news. Many people were very upset. But most people understood, there's some sense in it. They really mean peaceful. And we did. The day after, I had the Orange Army in front of the Parliament House. I called them 7 o'clock in the morning. I called the national television and said, I have to be in the news at 12:20, which is the main news in Iceland. I have a message to people. We do not accept violence in any form, and I have to be on this news. And they accepted it. I was on the news. And at 1 o'clock that afternoon, we had people with orange. The Orange Army surrounded the police guard around the Parliament building. There had been some serious incidents, violence, those days before. And that Friday, there was also another thing. We were protesting, and there was a funeral in the church right beside the Parliament building. And when we heard about it, we all stopped, we walked away. We gave the people peace to do the funeral. The minute that was over, we were back. Now, that day I could not leave the house. People attacked me on the streets. I was in danger almost. I was debated, talked about in the news, in the television that night. There was a lot of tension. I said something very serious about the Prime Minister of Iceland. What he was doing, he was in trouble politically. Whether it was true or not, he stepped forward on that Friday afternoon saying, I have to withdraw as a leader of the independent party because I have cancer. Now, they called me, the media called me and said, how do you like that? And I said, there are limits to what you do as a politician. He may well have cancer, but I do not accept a politician in the condition we are as a nation using this as an excuse to get out of politics. He should, if he was honest, he should also have resigned as we have asked him for months as a prime minister. But he didn't. He used it to get away out of his political party. That upset everybody. Everybody said, you monstrous person. You don't respect. He is suffering from cancer. And I said, I didn't say anything about that. So on that Saturday, the biggest protest meeting ever in Iceland, everybody was waiting for me to step on the podium, and I did. And what I said to people, I apologize for the way I behaved. There was no excuse. The reason was I got angry. The headlines were, Hördur says he apologized for his words, but I never ever did. I apologized for my behavior. Anyway, Sunday morning, and the beautiful thing was, we had a truck. It was filled with orange flowers. People brought by thousands orange flowers to support. That was very beautiful. But the following morning, Sunday morning, the first minister resigned, and he took along with him the office of the financial authority. Because we had these three claims. We wanted the government to resign, we wanted the board of the National Bank to resign, and we wanted the board of the Supervisory Authority to resign, the Money Supervisory Authority. Okay, that Sunday, the Money Supervisory Authority was gone. One demand gone, one minister. Monday morning, the government resigned. Then there was one thing left, the board of the National Bank. Now, he resigned, the leader of the National Bank, he refused to resign. And he is a man we call the architect of our financial crisis. He was the leader of the political party, the Independent Party, from 91. He did a coup inside the party, took it over. He became the mayor of Reykjavik. He became the prime minister of Reykjavik. He became the director of the National Bank, and he was directly heading for to become a president. We stopped him. It took a month to ooze him out. He had to leave his post there. He got furious. I'm on his list. But it tells you what kind of attitude that man has. A year later, he took over as an editor of the biggest paper in Iceland, and he's still running that. But what happened there? This was something the whole world was watching. I was doing, I don't know how many interviews per day with Russians, Chinese, Brazilian, people from all over the world following what was going on. But the world did not notice. This was a small little country of 320,000 people up there doing something about some revolution, cutlery, something. Nobody noticed. I remember that winter. I was very busy. Sometimes I was talking on two phones at the same time. I was talking to people from Ireland, from Spain, from Portugal, from France, from Germany, from Denmark, England. I was saying, what are you guys doing in your country? And they said, what do you mean? Doing what? I mean, the financial crisis. Is there a financial crisis? Oh, you mean that? Oh. They were like this. And, okay, fine. The minute we achieved these three demands, I left Iceland because people immediately started to come to me and said, okay, now we established a political party, we want you to lead it and you have to be a member of it. And I said, no, this has never been my plan. I never will go that way. I do this out of my need as a human. I'm a human rights activist, and I will always stay as such. You will not get me in there. And I left the country. I went to visit friends of mine in Berlin. I stayed there for a while. But I left behind instructions, and I taught people the way I worked. And I said, here it is, now you can take over. But they failed because they started immediately fighting each other instead of working together. They established a political party that lasted, I think, a year. Then it went into 2 sections, and then they're still fighting. So no wonder in last April, the bad guys, as we call them, are back in power. Why? Because they promised people who are having serious problems, financial problems. A lot of people, there are thousands and thousands. I think there are about 25,000 homes in Iceland. They cannot make ends meet every day. We are seeing our educational system falling to pieces. It used to be very good. We are seeing our health system falling to pieces. Everything is tumbling down. They are cutting down everywhere. Austerity is the key. And at the same time, the new government, what they did the first day, they took the taxes of the rich people. They took that off. They gave away milliards of our money so the rich people wouldn't have to pay some taxes that would be very easy for them. They are just cutting down. We are facing very serious situation in Iceland now. Very angry people. I walk the streets, I go among people, I talk to people, and I say to them, did you vote for them? And everybody goes like, no. Well, who voted for them? I don't know. I didn't. But over 50%, 57% of the voters voted for them. Well, I didn't do it. It's like that. And I asked them, okay, what do you think of this government? Well, it's not going to last until Christmas. We are going to do a new revolution. Good. You will help us. You go down to the front of the parliament and start again. And I said, no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to work for idiots. You have to suffer more if that's the result of what we've been fighting for. But then again, I may change my mind. But I'm here because I have been, like in the end of 2010, I started getting phone calls from people, mainly from Spain at that time, saying to me, were you leading some kind of a revolution in Iceland a few years ago? And I said, yeah. Could you possibly come here over and talk to us and tell us what happened and how you work? Because we've heard about that you've been activist for a long time. Yes, all right. And I went to Spain, and I was talking in universities, I was talking on the streets, I was talking to thousands and thousands and thousands of people. The M15 movement. And I've been visiting 12 countries. I don't know how many cities. And sometimes I'm doing like 2-3 talks per day in these travels. And it's fine. And I can assure you, if you are wondering that you are alone in your battle, the answer is no. I think like 2 months ago, we were talking about it the internet is really our instrument today. I'm talking every day to people from all over the world. There are millions. 2 months ago, there were 250 million people around the globe protesting. So you are not alone in this. not at all. And we are building up a network. And there are so many signs of like after 5 years protesting, we are seeing some signs that politicians are backing and bankers are backing. They are getting scared. And they better get scared. Because as long as we are protesting peacefully, we also warn them, we are not sure how long we can do this peacefully. It may end as what we are seeing in Northern Africa. We really don't want it. But there is a time limit. You better start working, doing your job. That's our message today. And I am really telling you, I bring greetings from people all over this globe that I've been in contact with. I've been talking to Ukraine, I've been talking to New Zealand, Iceland, Germany, 4 or 5 countries today through Skype. I do this every day. And we are all planning, we are all sharing information. So believe me, people of Ireland, you are not alone. And we keep an eye on you. And we want to work with you. So thank you for being so patient and listening here. And thank you for having me, and Tony for bringing me over. And I would like to do one thing. In the Icelandic Revolution, we made a flag. I'd like to give you one, bring you one, as because the big day is tomorrow.
Yay!
This is the Icelandic Revolution's sign, and I want you, Tony, to have this. Not Tony, Tony to keep it. I want you people to take this as a present from us in Iceland. And I want to explain to you, this is done by one of our artists, who's both a painter and a writer. His name is Hördur Helgason. If you follow in literature, you should maybe have heard about him. He's quite famous. But the color here is the color of our blood. And in the middle, you see the pot. And what is this called? Spoon. Of course, it's a spoon. A pot and a spoon. And this is the corn, our food. And this is Icelandic democracy. And here we have the star of hope. In Iceland, we sing a lot about the star. It leads us. This is it symbolizes our dreams. Like we say, the dreams don't feed us, but they lead us. So please accept this, and please put this up tomorrow. I will feel very proud. Thank you very much.
Okay, we've been running late, so we're just going to continue on and have Sean Miller come to the stage. So we're going to have Sean Miller for about half an hour, and then Saoirse Sands. And we've cut out the questions and answers. If you have any questions, you know where to find them answered tomorrow. And we'll see you down at the door. Thank you.
So, yeah, I can hear the guitar. Okay. I was in bed at about 8 o'clock, and I was checking my emails because there's some kind of a big thing going on in my family, and I looked at my Facebook page, and I went and I saw this event, and I went, holy Jesus Christ, I'm supposed to be painting that fucking thing. so I jumped in a cab and came over, and I'm really glad I did, because it was a privilege to hear all that stuff. It's fascinating to hear the history of how all that stuff happened. This is a song called The Bright Sparks. Are you the type of guy who'll happily accept £1,000,000 a year to sit behind a desk and send us all to hell in a broken ass and cart? Never bat an eye. I said, are you that type of guy? You pay peanuts, you get monkeys, but paying blood and you get sharks. You're beautiful to watch. Your bright sparks. Psychopaths with half-decent grades, delusional and desperate for success, who've learned to speak like money and wear the right clothes. Ah, that's what we need. A few more of those men and women without compassion or shame, who see themselves as the players and us as the game, and we're lucky to have them for £1,000,000 a year. 'Cause they're exactly what we need, running things around here. You pay peanuts, you get monkeys, but paying blood and you get sharks. They had us at hello. The bright sparks. Dark tide rising silence and despair. You can feel it on the streets. You can taste it in the air. And they're building an ark. They want to man it with a crew to beat off the locals, maybe kill a few, to put the fear of God in us, so we won't raise our eyes and watch them fill it up their boats with our meaner supplies. You pay peanuts, you get monkeys, but pay blood and you get sharks. And it's us or it's them. The bright sparks. The bright sparks. The bright sparks. The bright sparks. Thanks very much. Right. Okay. This one's called Wake Up Outside London. All the stuff that's happened recently, it's kind of made me think about the 80s a lot, because so many of the things that are happening are so similar, you know. And in the 1980s, like an awful lot of young people, I moved to London, and this is a song about my life there at that time. Outside London, sleeping on the floor of a house that you could swear you never saw before. Could you turn me up a little bit on stage? I'm finding it really hard to hear over the talking. It's grand, don't mind me, I'm cool. Just maybe just turn the monitors up a little bit, just because I keep losing me voice. Okay. Right. That's better, yeah, that's great. Thanks a million. Remember the party? Yeah, okay, I'll start again from I'm going to do another song, and that one kind of went all arseways. This one's called Raised Like Brothers. It's all about two of my uncles, and one of them had to go to hospital, the other one had to bring him in, and when they got there, they asked him, he wanted to go in with the other one into the room. They said, what's your relationship? And he had to basically explain that although he wasn't his actual brother, he'd been brought up like his brother. And that's what this song is about. It's about the difference between real life and official culture. Back when I was 60 and he was 75, I drove my brother to the hospital, but alive. I said to the doctor, please, how's my brother doing? I was scared he might be dying. The doctor said, sir, are you a blood relation? It's just that we can't help but notice something. You tell me that this man is your brother, but according to the patient, you're his cousin. I said, yes, that's true, but we were raised like brothers. It won't mean much to you, but we were raised like brothers. But it means a lot to me, the way that we were raised like brothers. So won't you tell me how he is? He was a grown man when I was just a kid. Those days, you were a man at 14. It's hard to believe now what a fine man he was. And I suppose that I looked up to him. My mother and father went away to work. In those days it happened all the time. His mother and father took me into their home. Raised me like I was one of their own. That's what I mean when I say that we were raised like brothers. Won't mean much to you, but we were raised like brothers. Means a lot to me, the way that we were raised like brothers. So won't you tell me how he is? History of my people isn't written in your book, but it's there in every handshake, every swift appraising look. The story of how we looked after one another, born cousins but raised like brothers. That's what I mean when I say that we were raised like brothers. Won't mean much to you, but we were raised like brothers. Means a lot to me, the way that we were raised like brothers. So won't you tell me how he is? Won't you tell me how he is? Won't you tell me how my brother is? Thank you. Thanks very much. Just give me all the songs. I love the live video, so I don't know it. one's called Money Can Buy Me Drugs. Well, a local kid dies and your mates down the pub wanna stamp out addiction in the neighborhood, so you form a little army. But the kids all carry weapons, you have to back down the first time you threaten the friend. Or the friend gives you my number. I give you 3 handguns just to get things started. You can't afford to pay me, cause you're all unemployed. You pull off a robbery, you do 5 years and you enjoy yourself. Guns for drugs and drugs for money I sell. Guns for drugs and drugs for money I sell. Guns for drugs and drugs for money, cause money can't buy me drugs. Money can't buy me. You leave prison with the habit and a few new tricks. All the chicks live an outlaw and your reputation sticks. You send more weapons when you've gotten clear away and live to fight the scum for another day. You call me up drunk, you tell me what you need. I say, save yourself some prison time, start knocking out weed. Soon you're my main man for 6 canteens. Nobody's gonna fuck with you. People ask you what you do. You sell guns for drugs and drugs for money. You sell guns for drugs and drugs for money. You sell guns for drugs and drugs for money. Cause money can buy you drugs. Money can buy you drugs. Money can buy you drugs. Money can buy you. Now you're wearing Gucci shoes and Armani suits, and you've read oranges and not the only fruit, and you've set up your brother in a building game. It's been a hell of a journey, but you're glad you came. Your accountant says maybe you should leave the country, move your money into something legit. You just smile and shake your head, you say you don't understand this shit. I sell guns for drugs and drugs for money. I sell guns for drugs and drugs for money. I sell guns for drugs and drugs for money. Cause money can buy me drugs. Money can buy me drugs. Money can buy me drugs. Money can buy me. Thanks very much. This was called Back in Dublin City when the fix was in. I just realised I normally do this with big reggae. This is backing track. I'm trying to remember how to play the big guitar for it. Anyway, here we go. Dublin City when the fix was in. Back in Dublin City, back in Dublin City when the fix was in. Back in Dublin City when the fix was in. Back in Dublin City, back in Dublin City when the fix was in. Back in Dublin City when the fix was in. Show bands and hard cash changing hands in the backs of high-low spans. I was told my efforts were embarrassing. People like me shouldn't move to Berlin. Now they tell me the culture is in crisis. Gasping horror, hike up your prices. You're terrified of the fat, angry kids who've the time and the money to behave as badly as you once did. Back in Dublin City when the fix was in. A Sept were journalists as late as 1995. How can a man afford the clothes of a king when he's been a public servant all his life? He just laughed and said, Sean, you don't understand anything. Evil defines its own opposition, and surrounded by corruption we gave in to despair, and desperate people make bad decisions. When you know you can't win, it's hard to keep playing fair. Back in Dublin City when the fix was in. Back in Dublin City, back in Dublin City when the fix was in. Back in Dublin City. There was an ad on the radio at the time that said there's 200 people in Ireland and Terry knows them all. My father said we should take every last fucking one of them and put them up against the wall. But you know we're terrible Egypts in this country. We only get the government that we deserve if we elect ourselves an aristocracy. Me, I lived in my wits and I kept my nerve. Back in Dublin City when the fix was in. And all I have is friends, the songs I would sing, a few pints, half a fag, a bit of hash and true skins. Back in Dublin City when the fix was in. Back in Dublin City when the fix was in. All I had was my friends, the songs I would sing, a few pints, half a fag, a bit of hash and true skins. Back in Dublin City when the fix was in. Back in Dublin City when the fix was in. Back in Dublin City when the fix was in. I think this is my last song because I think I was only going to do about half an hour and that's about it. So, what you call it, the thing, the family thing that I was saying that was kind of occupied was that anyway, my best friend is dying right now as we speak. He's on his deathbed right now. Thank you. But I can't do anything for him, so I'm just going to do the song I'm going to dedicate it to him. This is from my friend Neil. It's not a bit sentimental or sad, actually, it's fucking opposite. Anyway, here we go. But it would give him a laugh, and that's the main thing, man. Right, so that's it. That's all we got most of the time, man. It's my friend Neil. Yeah. Okay. When she needed gear, I'd give her mine. I'd seen her laugh, so I made her cry. I told her I loved her, I meant it at the time. Isn't that the worst kind of lie? If a lie lasts forever, it's practically true. But mine only lasted a week or two, and soon I was sleeping with her best friend, who called me a bastard, but called me again. And happy can be, I believe that that's true. It can be for me. It can be for you. Happy can be. I believe that that's true. It can be for me. It can be for you. Some years later, We met in the street. Her boyfriend kicked out one of my teeth. I don't know what it was that she saw there to love in me on my knees, spitting out blood. But she cleaned me up and she took me home. And now I'm raising their kids as my own. And she's pregnant again, and this one's for me. And we're as happy can be. And happy can be. I believe that that's true. It can be for me. It can be for you. Happy can be. I believe that that's true. It can be for me. It can be for you. We've settled down like two regular freaks. I'm watching her now. She's lying asleep and I reach out and I touch her hair. So wherever she is, she knows that I'm there. And happy can be. I believe that that's true. It can be for me. It can be for you. Thanks for asking me to do this, and good luck tomorrow. And that's it, really. My name's Sean Miller. Everybody calls me Dr. Miller. I've got a new album coming out. If you feel like singing, you can join me in the last chorus. My new album's called C48, whatever. So that's it. Yeah, I feel like saying something like up capitalism now just for the crack, but anyway, there you go. Happy can be. I believe that that's true. It can be for me. I can hear a few of you. It can be for you. That's it. Feel you now. Happy can be. I believe that that's true. It can be for me. It can be for you. There's loads of you now, and then I'm finishing here one more time. Happy can be. I believe that that's true. It can be for me. You have to believe it though. It can be for you. I mean about me. You have to believe it about me, right? Happy can be. See all that stuff your father said about you not being able to sing? I believe that that's true. He was so wrong. It can be for me. It can be for you. Good night.